Oh, hi everyone. My name is Angela Ariano. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing in the state of California. Please don't take any of my videos as any type of therapy at all. This is just general information. This is not diagnosing in any way. This is just helping people who are in therapy or maybe know someone in therapy to kind of give them maybe some insider information on the therapist side. So in my last video, I talked about the beginning stage, the rapport building. Then comes kind of my favorite part, which is really do the middle stage and really doing a lot of the work. And this is really actually the hardest phase. You would think sometimes the beginning is the hard phase, but really it's the middle because this is when you're really beginning to focus on your goals, address maybe your issues. And every modality, every therapist, and every person is going to work a little differently. But in the end, this is where you're really going to be working hard. So I want you to keep a few things in mind during this. One of those things in it is I guess the benefits and risks of therapy. Let's just go. I think that's a great general rule for us to go over. Every therapist should go over this with you, but sometimes we forget we're humans. So the risks really being is sometimes, in all honesty, it might not work. Now, this isn't necessarily in the middle of the phase, but it's a risk. There are so many modalities, so many therapists, phases of life and everything. Therapy, at the end of the day, is just a theory. It may not work, and it doesn't mean therapy will never work. It just means maybe right now or maybe that person. But let's get into the other risks. Maybe it is working, and the risk there then is it's going to be really hard. Oftentimes we see it in sometimes in the media, social media, or not, pop culture and everything, is therapy is just holding a cup of tea, sitting in our cardigans, on our couches, and just all lovey-dovey in our feelings. And while that can be true about therapy, sometimes it actually is really, really hard work. It's really addressing these things. Now, this is not to say I think you should always be in pain and upset when you're in therapy. But what it is to say, I kind of just use the same example every time with my clients of this is almost like when you get a really bad wound and you have to go to the hospital and they pour alcohol on it, a rubbing alcohol or just something, and it burns, or when you're healing from something, it kind of hurts. That's how it should go. It shouldn't be always that way, but it should be like, man, I did some really hard work in therapy today. Making sure you have, and this is also why, let's go back to the beginning, why it's really good to make sure you have a good set of coping skills. Because after a rough therapy session, you and your therapist should have worked out really good coping skills. Now, I do EMDR therapy, and EMDR therapy actually has coping skills worked into it and how it works. So if you want to learn more about that, go see an EMDR therapist or, reach out to me and I can tell you what that can look like. This way, when you do the hard therapy session and your therapist should say, hey, I think next week we're going to do a harder session, so I want you to be ready. And EMDR, I do a lot of that work of what I want you to have for you in session. Hey, don't have something right after therapy. Give yourself some time to process it. But this is where the hard work happens. This is where you should be seeing some changes. And this is really on you and the therapist, mostly the therapist, to make sure those changes are happening and that it's not too hard. I don't want a client to ever be like, oh my gosh, I'm in therapy and I'm always upset after therapy. I'm always upset because I'm in therapy. That is not what we want. And I found it appropriate when we decide to maybe a new therapist or maybe you need to pause therapy right now. But therapy should be work. It should be addressing your depression. Why am I depressed? What's going on? I'm going to address these things. This is the meat and the potatoes. This is why we go to therapy, so we can work on our traumas and see what's going on. Why are we the way we are now? Is it because of childhood? Is it because of a trauma? Is it because of things going on at work? I really need to address these issues. That's what's going on in the middle stage. And then we can get into maybe the end stage or more on the middle stage. This is really what I just wanted you to know. I always like my videos to be as short as possible and hope I get the message across. Mainly, the middle stage is where you do the hard work. It should be a little painful, but not too hard. And make sure you bring in those coping skills. I should have mentioned this in my video earlier about the beginning stage, but this is where not just rapport is being built, but sometimes people go, well, all my therapist does is tell me to go on a walk and tell me to exercise and find coping skills and mindfulness and self-care. That's not really working on it. That's not helping me. Yes and no. Yes, it's going to help us if we take account. I've had my clients sometimes do like charts of like the days they've exercised or the days, even the days they have anxiety. What was a little different about that day versus the day they didn't? And we see differences. And sometimes it's great to do in the beginning. It's kind of like an assessment type tool. And that way we can go, okay, let's find coping skills. So the way when we're doing the hard work, we go, yeah, I had a really hard day after therapy, or I had a really hard work day, but I remember that coping skill you taught me and I used it, or I went on a walk, or I called someone and I utilized all these things and I noticed a difference. We cannot, unfortunately, we're not expecting a walk to make us go from, 100% anxiety to 0% anxiety. It's almost like going from 100% anxiety to just a little bit, maybe 98. Maybe that will help us. And that's what we want to do. So when we go into doing the hard work in the middle stages of therapy, we're able to maybe more self-soothe and self-regulate. I hope this video helped you. I hope it made sense. I think in the next video, I'll get to the end of just termination, or we can call it graduation from therapy. Have a great day.